Hey guys, welcome back to Wolf's Den Forge. So today I'm going to talk about a very simple little project about silencing your anvil, right? So I had a discussion with a guy in the blacksmithing forum on Reddit, our blacksmith I believe it is, and some new user had asked about silencing an anvil, and they talked about, oh, wrap a bunch of chain around it and all this stuff. And this is one of the worst ways to silence an anvil. So I'm going to show you how to properly do this with a quick introduction to my own personal anvil. So stick around. Okay, so this is my 1919 165-pound Trenton anvil. This is forged in 1919, according to the serial numbers. And this is a church bell. Oh. I don't know how well the camera is actually going to let you be able to hear this, but this thing is so ridiculously loud. It is damn near impossible to work in front of on a daily basis. And a lot of anvils are like this. So how do you effectively quiet down an anvil? Well, you could wrap chain around the waist of it, which really doesn't do very much at all. It drives me nuts when I see people do that. This is the result of wives' tales, right? It really doesn't actually do much of anything to silence the anvil. The most effective ways to actually silence an anvil is to treat it like a string. I know that's kind of a ridiculous idea, but stay with me for a minute. When you take a string and you pluck it and it vibrates, you have the antinodal points, which are the points that vibrate a lot, and the nodal points, where the string doesn't seem to move at all. The antinodal points on an anvil is where a lot of the ring is allowed to sustain itself, right? So if you dampen those, then the anvil gets much, much quieter. So the very first part, I'm going to grab the camera here in a second, we'll do some close-ups of the anvil and I'll show you. Notice, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show it to you. I have this anvil sitting on a stump right now, which is the first thing people do. They put it on a stump. If you want to guarantee that your anvil is going to ring like crazy, if it's a ringing anvil, which we'll get to that in a whole other video. Some anvils just don't ring. They're good high quality anvils, they just don't ring because of the way they're constructed. But some like this ring like a bell. If you want to guarantee it's going to ring like crazy, put it on a stump. And I'll show you why. Okay, now, as you can see, I have this sitting on a stump. Well, this stump is constructed of 4x12s, but still, it's the same thing as a stump. You take this off, put on a wooden stump, the same thing will happen. The first thing you need to do, these are the feet of the anvil. Little corners here, I don't know what they're really called, but I like to call them the toes. If you capture these, all you have to do is make a piece of metal that grabs a hold of these like that, nice and tight, and that will dampen a great deal of the ring. Now, you may not believe me, but I'm going to demonstrate this in a moment. That will cut down 80% of the ring right there. This, let me get my coffee out of the way. This is the anvil stand I constructed. It's made of steel tubing. You can't see it because they're buried in the ground, but there's steel plating underneath there. And these corners right here, I measured them and designed them so that they grab a hold of the corners of the anvil and dampen the ring. So I'm going to pick this anvil up that you just heard being a church bell, and I'm going to set it down onto this stand, and I'm going to hit it again just so you can hear the difference. And then we'll get into the second stage of what really. Okay, now here it is sitting on my anvil stand. If you can see down here, you can see that the toes are nice and snug inside the stand. Listen to how much difference this makes. Now, it's still got a good ring to it, but most of the vibration has been dampened by capturing antinodal points in the anvil. The toes, the corner of the feet are some of the biggest antinodal points. That's most of it right there. How do you get rid of the last little bit? It's actually very easy. A couple of dollar store magnets. One of the biggest antinodal spots is right here in the center of the face of the anvil, well, on the center of the body of the anvil. On the other side, it really doesn't matter where you can hit both. Just putting this one right here, listen to this. It's almost gone. One tiny last little magnet. I can either put it up under here, and you'll hear the difference, or, honestly, the tail is the biggest offender than the horn is. If I put it right there in between the hardy and the pritchel hole, the ring is almost completely and totally gone. That's all it takes. Wrapping chains around it, all the other crazy things I've seen people do to dampen an anvil doesn't really do you any good. A couple of magnets, a properly designed stand goes a long, long way. I fabricated this stand literally out of scraps out of a friend of mine's junkyard. It took me probably 2 hours to do. If you don't know how to weld, I guarantee you have a friend or acquaintance or an in-law or somebody who does. A 12-pack, 24-pack of beer goes a long, long, long way to get you a properly made anvil stand. And if you don't, do yourself a massive favor. Go take a basic welding class. Just the ability to stick two pieces of metal together with an arc welder will allow you to build all kinds of tools, including this one here, or if you can see it, my post-vise stand there. I fabricate these things as well as my 2x72 belt grinder, which I did a video on. all on my own. So thanks for sticking with me, guys. If you have any questions on this entire process or how it can be done better,